I'm Alec Freitag, and for the second project, I sought to mimic a game that I played in high school a lot with my friends. So this game, What Are the Odds, is played between two people, and it's a purely verbal game. It's a pretty simple game, and what happens is one person comes up with some kind of task, whether it's I kind of like I dare you to eat this food. You say, what are the odds that you do this task? What are the odds that you eat this food or whatever? And your friend would say, 1 in 10, meaning there's a 10% chance that I would do that task. And then both players would then count down 3, 2, 1, and they would both say a number in that 1 to 10 range. If those numbers match, that person has to do that task that they decided upon. So I decided to mimic that in Arduino. It's a pretty simple idea overall, but one of the main things I wanted to do was explore a new thing we haven't used. So I decided to use this 8x8 LED board for the circuit. And so in this, as you can see, I have two buttons here. I have 1 in 5 odds and 1 in 20 odds. Ideally, I would have liked to do more, but unfortunately with the Uno, I ran out of pins because the little 8x8 takes up 16 of the pins, so there weren't many left to play around with. But you have two choices of odds. So one person would choose task, the other person would, you'd say, what are the odds you do this? So they'd either say 1 in 5 or 1 in 20. Once you have that selected, one person would say a number in that range, and so let's say it was 3, that person chose 3. The other number will be displayed on this board, and if those numbers are the same, that person has to do the task. If not, they get away with not doing it. So if it's a task that you really don't want to do, you're going to want to choose 1 in 20, so there's less of a chance of you having to do it. So it's overall a pretty simple idea. A lot of it went into the code, but let's get into looking at the circuit. So first I'm going to be pressing the 1 in 5 odds, and as you can see, each time I press it, a random number between 1 and 5 is lit up on the screen. I have it set so that it stays there for a fraction of a second, enough that you can see it. And as you can see, it's random every time. Sometimes it's the same number, but I'm using the random function. Then we'll go over to the 1 in 20. And again, same thing, random number, but this time with a range of 1 to 20. So as you can see, I coded each of these numbers into the 8x8 LED matrix, and they show up whenever pressed.